Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. One of the many things that have flown off President Trump's desk here in the first 3 weeks of Trump 2.0 is the executive order ending birthright citizenship. Now, some people are saying it takes a constitutional amendment to change that. No, not really. It really just takes a court ruling to overturn that. And it's all predicated on the 14th Amendment, this whole idea of anchor babies. Now, for a quick review, you probably know this, but just know that there are some people who are just now discovering talk radio and hearing this from the other side for the first time. The point that we're digesting right here from the 14th Amendment is in the first section. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and that'll come up later, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, it got passed in 1868. It was written before that. But clearly, this is a Reconstruction Amendment, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. They were simply there to codify the changes that were happening because of the Civil War. Number one, how did we get rid of slavery? Well, we did that with the 13th Amendment. Okay, now that they're not slaves anymore and they're not currently citizens as recognized by several other Supreme Court and, laws that are on the books, Supreme Court decisions and laws that are on the books. How do we make all of these former slaves now citizens? How do we word this in a way that will grant them all citizenship without accidentally catching other groups of people that we do not intend to be citizens? That's why the language is specific to this. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. So you have to be either born or naturalized and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Now, they did that specifically because that would catch all the slaves that were born here, but it wouldn't catch, say, like diplomats. Like if you were the ambassador from France and you were living right outside of D.C., so you could, do your functional duties for the country of France as a citizen of France under the jurisdiction of France, but your wife got pregnant and had a baby, would that be an American citizen? No, not under this, because that baby has diplomatic immunity. It is not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So even though that person was born, it was not also subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, therefore not a citizen. That's why that's why I stressed the and. It didn't say all persons born or subject to the jurisdiction thereof, because that would count for diplomats that are here legally or illegal immigrants, people that are not supposed to be here, but they snuck across the border. They're still citizens of another country. They are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So we got that out of the way. So the two big things I want you to have stuck in your head before we review this audio is, number one, that it was absolutely, written specifically to address the issue of slavery. I mean, it's bookended on the 13th and the 15th Amendments were about slavery. I'm pretty sure the 14th was in there too. It wasn't about illegal immigrants and anchor babies, for the love of God. That wasn't an issue in 1868 that they were trying to remedy. So with that, I want you to take Jasmine Crockett's audio here and remember that she's a trained lawyer. She was a lawyer in practice for 10 years, civil rights activist, held a bunch of cases for Black Lives Matter activists. She is on a podcast of someone who is also a constitutional expert, supposedly. Her name is Kathleen Martinez. And listen to both of them. Just get it as wrong can be about the 14th Amendment.
But nevertheless, I was like, we gonna talk about this, and this gonna be so interesting. I just couldn't wait. And somehow, like everything else in this country, when it comes to a certain group of people, Black folk are at the center of it. So they said, oh, do you know the history of this particular amendment? That's what they asked the witnesses. Do you know what year this came about? They asked the Democratic witness, and he said it was in the 1860s. And then so the Republican member that asked him about it says 1868. So he says, okay.
1860s.
And, right. Yeah. And he goes, do you know what was happening? And so he says, well, it was the end of the Civil War. He's like, yes, this was for the slaves. This was for the slaves. That's all our founders meant. So basically, they're going to...
Why are they saying no?
You can't make this up. Run the tape, y'all. Run the tape. Said, nah, I'd be doggone. I didn't know how they were going to try to justify it, but they have decided
that
I guess that they're going to go into the courtrooms and say, now this was just for the ones that we stole. This was not for the other ones. It was for the ones that we stole who labored and built this country. It wasn't for all these other people. Our founders never contemplated all these others. So, really, we could go back. Give it back to the daggone Native Americans, and then we can't go back nowhere else. And let's see how y'all like it. Start over. Because the colonizers, y'all the colonizers, but that's a whole other story.
I get it. We're evil. I got it. But they laugh at the idea that it was for the slaves. Oh, no, they didn't say that. Yeah, go back, run the tape. They actually said that stupid thing. Well, no, it definitely was for the slaves. Who was it for? Was it for illegal Hondurans that have streamed across the Rio Grande? I don't think so. Who else would it be for? Who else were we having an issue with? It wasn't for the slaves. They just happened to get rolled up into this illegal immigration amendment. Come on. And then the lady next to her doesn't correct her. There's two other ladies on this panel who are supposedly constitutional experts, and they're both making the same mistake. But listen, remember that and earlier? What happens if you turn that into an or? Well, it changes the entirety of the amendment. Kathleen Martinez gets it wrong.
This is my life.
They're trying to argue the interpretation of the Constitution, where the 14th Amendment is very black and white.
It is very clear.
If you're born in the United States, you're subject to the jurisdiction of and citizenship.
Do you see that? She snuck in the or. She snuck in the or. That does change the amendment. Because that means whether or not you're naturalized or you're a citizen, as long as you're here, as long as you're born here, it doesn't matter if you're subject to our jurisdiction or whatnot. See, that changes what the actual amendment says when you leave it as and. Here, she snuck it in there. I'll do it again.
Jurisdiction of and citizenship of the United States. There's no United States are subject to the jurisdiction. Born in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction of and citizenship of the United States. There's no for exception for parents if you're undocumented.
Go to your college, ask for a refund. Your degree means nothing, lady. Your degree means absolutely nothing. You can look at the text. It's right here. There's an and in it. This is a constitutional law. You're talking to a congresswoman, and they're getting it that wrong. Do you think the 14th Amendment was meant for slaves or anchor babies? I can't believe so many people are getting this wrong. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Man, I can't even keep up with all the efficiencies, all the Doge discoveries that are happening. You know, here's a program to get dirty comic books in the hand of some kid on the other side of the planet. You know, there's all kinds of weird things going on. You know, if you're working from home, you got to come in. Department of Education supposedly has pretty much been burned to the ground. Metaphorically speaking, don't call the Secret Service or anything. But there's quite a few interesting things that are kind of falling through the cracks, like the elimination of the penny. You know, we're having a major change to our currency. And this would be, in normal times, this would be a big headline. We would be having the discussion probably for a couple of days. You know, do we need the penny? Is the penny a good idea? Should we get rid of the penny? I mean, we've done this in talk radio in the past. Is it time to get rid of the penny? And now we actually are getting rid of the penny. And there's so many other bullets that are just flying by our head. Again, metaphorically speaking, don't say James is advocating mass shooting. So the penny's gone. Now, so many instances on this show, I am put in the position of trying to explain my economic backing because it's one of the main reasons I consider myself an independent. I am not a Democrat for damn sure, and Republicans get so much wrong that I'm not comfortable calling myself a Republican either. Because first and foremost, when I look at statecraft, how we're supposed to not only adhere to the Constitution but arrange society as a whole, I definitely fall in the school of Austrian economics. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's okay. It just means you and I, and we all had a terrible education. I was taught economics in high school and college as if it was the law of the land. And what I was really taught was Keynesian economics. They didn't even let you know that there's other schools of thought and then teach you the different schools of thought and then let you judge what's better, you know, gold standard and fiat currency. We're all just taught blanket Keynesian economics as if it was law. Well, it's not. And so when you go do research in adulthood and you start reading other people's books and watching other videos and documentaries, you find out that, okay, well, I don't match up with what they want to do or Team Red or Team Blue want to do. I'm an Austrian economist. What kind of economist are you? If you don't know, how do you know who to vote for? This is one of the things that I found confusing as an early voter. Like, I don't know enough about any of these guys to have a strong enough opinion to go stand in the street and hold a sign. But now that I do, it really guides so much of not just this show, but the way I view politics. Like my worldview is very much governed by my economics. I think about maybe 80% of the problems that we have in this country have an economics-based solution. Not all of them, not like abortion. There's not an economic solution to that. But the Mises Institute, it's one of the biggest think tanks for Austrian economics. They explain the history of the penny and why it's good to get rid of it. And I'm just sharing this with you. This is what an intelligent economic conversation sounds like from my worldview.
Last night, Trump ordered the government to stop minting new pennies. Many have been calling for this to happen for years, but the significance of the death of the penny can only really be understood if we look at the coin's history. The first coins called pennies came about in England during the Middle Ages. They were small silver coins worth about $1.50 in today's American money. For the vast majority of people, these silver pennies were the only coin they ever needed or interacted with. Silver itself was the money. These coins were simply a specific weight of silver that was convenient enough to become popular. The penny's value remained largely unchanged for centuries. And in the years after the U.S. seceded from Britain, the new federal government decided to use the same name for its smallest coin, representing 1/100th of a dollar. Importantly, the value of these American pennies was not based on the amount of metal in the coin, but by its fractional relationship with the dollar. At the time, the dollar was defined as a specific weight of silver, which meant the value of the penny was also tied to a specific amount of silver. But the penny was not made of silver, it was made of copper. So right from the jump, the American penny's value was separated from the value of its metal. Early on, that wasn't a pressing problem, as the small amount of copper used for the coin was significantly cheaper than the silver it represented. But that would quickly start to change as the U.S. government began messing with the value of money. First, the government tried to mandate specific fixed ratios of gold and silver,
Listen to this.
while also printing paper dollars that extended far beyond the supply of silver they represented to fund wars and other government programs. The attempted official gold-silver ratio messed up the dollar's tie to silver. Then, in 1900, the government switched and defined the dollar as a specific weight of gold, meaning the penny technically represented a tiny amount of gold. The government continued to mess with the value of money in various indirect ways until 1971, when Nixon ended the dollar's official definition as a specific weight of gold. Going forward, money's value would primarily be determined by government officials. And in the decades since, those officials have chosen to adopt a policy of permanent price inflation, meaning new dollars are created at a rate meant to cut money's value by 2% every year. In reality, though, the real loss has been closer to 4%. This system has been great for government officials and the politically connected rich who receive most of the new money first. But that's come at the expense of the rest of the American people, whose paychecks and savings continue to be devalued by the ongoing policy. The penny is the first monetary casualty in this march to worthless currency, but it certainly won't be the last.
Oh, do you understand that this may sound boring, and I know it's not as sexy as LGBT issues or abortion or gun rights. It's not as exciting as crime or illegal immigration, but this is the one that affects you more than anything else. It is because these policies and us ignoring these policies, every year you and I get a 4% pay cut because of our monetary system, because of the Federal Reserve, because of our fiat currency, because we run a big, fat, ugly deficit every year and we don't balance the budget and we're not efficient and we don't have a Doge. You get a 4% pay cut every year because of this. Why aren't you more interested in this? If we should be blocking the streets for anything, it's for this, because it's just 4% this year, and then it's 4% next year, and then it's 4% next year, and then it's 4% next year, and you wonder why you can't get ahead, even though you're working more hours and you got a higher wage and you got a little bit of a promotion there. Why does it feel like you're always just treading water? This is why. This is why. If you've been in the same job for 5 years and you haven't had a raise, your standard of living has gone down by about 20%. And if we get this right, there will be no more 9% inflation. There will be no more eggs. The price of eggs is going to triple over the next 5 years. You know, before we got off of the old system, the purchasing power of your dollar stayed about the same for the first 140 years of this country. And now prices double every 20 years. You know, if the Fed was supposed to maintain the value of the currency, it couldn't have done a worse job. It's lost over 98% of the value of the dollar since it took over. I think that's a pretty big failure. I think we need to go back to the old system. And I don't know why this isn't a bigger deal. Or no, don't listen to me. Just take another 4% pay cut this year and next year and the year after that and the year after that. One day, maybe we'll wake up. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll talk to a relationship expert, Jennifer Stiers, getting you ready for Valentine's Day. That's just in 2 days, fellas. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Getting really hyped up for Valentine's Day, aren't you there, Garrett? Yeah, gentlemen, this is your warning. This is your 48-hour warning. I'm doing you a solid here. Valentine's Day is Friday. If you're not in possession of a present already, bro, you got to get on it. You can't be doing this the day of. And look, if you do it on the 15th, it's too late. And really, it's going to cost you a whole lot more. So I'm not very good in this department. So let's bring in a dating and relationship expert, Jennifer Stiers, coming back on the James Show. And listen, Valentine's Day, it's coming around. And I think most of the people that listen to WBAP at this point, Jennifer, we've already been through the relationship game before where the wife or girlfriend says, no, I really don't want anything. Don't fall for that. She wants something. But Jennifer, is there a hot item? Is there a trendy item? What are the ladies wanting for Valentine's this year?
Oh, that's a great question. It depends on your lady. The good news is I think as a trend overall, whether it's dating and somebody new that you're dating or somebody you've been with a while, the trend is towards simplicity and authenticity. So they don't need the expensive gift. They want something that's thoughtful. So that's something that, you've either put effort into, you've listened to her when she's been shopping or somewhere and see something she likes, and then you pick it up for her. It's not expensive. It's thoughtful. That's the key this year.
Okay. I am leaning toward the experience thing. I've done something that it's crazy that most people in Dallas probably haven't done this, but I got reservations for that restaurant that's at the top of Reunion Tower. I know. I've never been. I'm 40. I've been driving past this thing for like 47 years and never been. And so, look, that's not going to be cheap, but I'm in it for more the experience than something physical, like a physical gift that she can take away.
It's a great idea. Any experiential gifts are also in, mainly because it's spending time with your person, right? So that's always the goal, is that it's always about the time spent, especially if her love language is quality time. So, keep this in mind, guys, especially, and girls too. Give a gift based on somebody's love language, because
explain. Explain.
Yeah, here we go. So there's 5 love languages. If you've never read the book or taken the quiz, go online, Google it. It'll be fast. But there's basically a few love languages like quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation, physical touch. Whatever somebody's love language is how you want to gift them. So if spending time together is the gift for them, that's what they love, then your gift should be something where you do something together like you're doing. If it's words of affirmation, it's leaving like love notes everywhere in her car and different little places. That would be the thoughtful gift of, how you feel about her and how much you love her. The acts of service would be, let me make you dinner, let me bring you breakfast in bed, your coffee. She did that anyway. But things like that where you're doing things for her or him that day. So give the gift of something that they would really want and value.
Well, why is this all, I don't want to say it's all one direction, but like people don't put nearly as much thought into what does the guy want for Valentine's Day?
So much harder, too. I'm just being honest. Men are harder.
Is it harder, really? Because we are much simpler people.
You are much simpler people, but that's the thing. Number one, you're simple. Number two, if you ever want something, you go buy it yourself. So women have a hard time buying gifts. Cologne, lame. Same thing, though. What does your guy like to do? Like if you like to go play golf or you love baseball, tickets to his favorite baseball game, basketball game, golf, excursion, whatever it may be, do it. Do something for him.
What if what I asked for Valentine's you can't legally buy off the street? Yeah, so we're back to the experiential thing again. Look, all right, here. Maybe I'm too simple. You're the one with the lovability show. But I've always said if you're looking to get a gift for a guy, whether it's Christmas, birthday, Valentine's, whatever, what does he like to do? And then just go in that lane. If he likes to play golf, get him a sleeve of golf balls. If he likes to shoot guns, find out what gun he has and get him a box of bullets. Like it really is that easy.
Hey, you have great advice. I mean, those are great ideas. Or a day if he likes to shoot and his love language is quality time, a day at the driving range together. Because you know you love shooting guns with your girl.
You know what? You just added a little bit to that. Thank you very much. That is a good addition to my initial idea. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your two avenues here for getting information out. The Lovability Show and the Lovey app. Do the show first.
Okay, so the Lovability Show is my podcast, and it is just all relationship-oriented dating. Everything changes every day, so I just keep up on the latest. And my app is actually called Lovability now. We redid the app, and now we're just combining it with the podcast, and it's called the Lovability app. And it's a matchmaking app. It's like new generation dating. Super cool, fun, curated matches. Nobody else is doing anything like it. So this is for the people that want a relationship and don't want to swipe.
And you're a local girl, so this is probably going to be kind of Dallas-centric or DFW-centric.
Right now it is. Yeah, we just launched in Dallas January 1st, so we'll be here a few months. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you just launched January 1st.
Great people on the app.
All right, let me go ahead and ask a personal question. What did you ask for Valentine's Day?
You know what's funny? I'm not a Valentine's person. Like I'm on television really early Friday morning. I just want to rest, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to a Valentine's Day party because people want me to go there to promote the app. But I'm going to go do that. But I'm not a Valentine's celebrator. If a man, and I really mean it, if a man got me a card, I'd be happy. I don't want gifts. I don't want chocolate. I just want him to spend time with me and think of me. That's it.
Oh, my goodness. You are setting death traps for many men out there whose wives do not share your flippant attitude toward gifts. What did you ask for Valentine's Day? What would you like to get?
Absolutely nothing. We never do anything. Like we sometimes don't even go out to dinner.
You don't want a new pair of red bottoms or some Kendra Scott or something?
I'm not that girl. Nope.
All right. Well,
no, but there are girls. Hey, there are girls like that. Yeah.
All right. Jennifer Stiers.
Like that.
You can find her on the Lovability Show and the Lovability app. Congratulations on the relaunch there. That was news to me.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, come back on the show and help me with relationship advice sometime in the future. I appreciate having you around.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Stiers again. Coming up next on the James Show, I have a couple of feedback emails that I'll try and squeeze in. And then also there's another report on a local train that's losing a bunch of money and they want to spend your money to prop it up. And they just can't stop at the bad ideas, can they? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.